everyone, I'm here with a quick video just to show you the books that I've been reading this past month or so. And one book that I know some people have asked me my opinion about is The Oracle Creator. So I finally finished reading this and I'm going to give you a full review and talk about what I thought of this particular book. So The Oracle Creator is a book that came out recently. It's published by Liminal 11, which is a publishing company that they're kind of an independent publishing company. They put out a limited number of decks per year. Their art is like a very particular, they look for artists with like a very particular kind of style. I know they're very, very popular right now. A lot of people really love them. No offense to people who like Liminal 11 and to Liminal 11, but I don't like the artwork, and I don't know what it is about the style, but I haven't seen one yet where I'm like, ooh, I really want that. I'm always like, that's not my style. I wonder if part of it is because I prefer more traditional decks or decks that are a little more fantastical, and I'm just not finding that in this particular company. However, I did get this book, and I find this book to be very helpful and very nice. So I guess out of the Liminal 11 products, I would say yes, I do like this one. So it is a really lovely book. Just visually it is stunning. We have a beautiful hardcover here. I don't know if they'll come out with a soft cover at some point, but the hardcover is really, really lovely. It would make a wonderful coffee table book, even if you're not interested in learning how to make a tarot or oracle deck, because that's what this book is about. It's about like how to make an oracle deck, and it walks you through the whole steps. So oracle or tarot. It is, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. Even like you look at the inside cover, you've got this beautiful pattern. It is full color. You've got these beautiful full color images here. You've got, just looking here, you've got some really nice graphics as well. It's laid out in a way that's just very visually pleasing. So I would definitely give full marks for their layout and design, making it just a joy to look at with the eyes. So I could see people just having this even as a coffee table book, just with all the beautiful imagery in it. So full points, I would say, on the imagery. It's in full color. It's just like a really lovely book to look at. For the information in this book, it's also very, very good. So we have here the whole process of making a deck. So it starts with, just describing what an oracle is, what a tarot deck is. It also has planning out your oracle. So thinking about how you want to plan out your deck. What kind of system do you want to have? What kind of images do you want to have? What symbols do you want to have? It talks about the color symbology of things. So very, very informative there. And then it talks about designing your oracle. How are you going to design it? Like, are you going to use photographs? Are you going to make your own art? Are you going to hire an artist? What are you going to do to design it? How you're going to put those images there, what you're going to use. It talks about the guidebook as well, things to think about when making a guidebook. And then it talks about publishing, and it talks about everything from the, going through the traditional publishing route to independent publishers, to doing like a Kickstarter, to just printing, doing a print on demand, or even just like making it on the computer for yourself. So it is very, very thorough in going through all of those steps. And it even has spots in here where you can fill things out. So it asks you questions and then you can fill it out. I'm not one for really writing in books. So, you might want to photocopy these pages and then you're not so worried about, maybe, messing things up. But I think that is handy because it gets people to really kind of think about things and think about how they're going to organize it. For me personally, I found the publishing part the most interesting just because I don't know a whole lot about that process. And I think it's pretty thorough in that it gives you an idea of, the cost of things, the time it takes, and what you might want to think about in that whole process as far as what you want. Because some people just want a deck for themselves. Someone just want to sell a few to their friends. What do you want? It also has a lot of interviews. That's the word I'm looking for in here. So they will talk about something like, for example, designing your oracle, what kind of images to use, and then there'll be a interview with somebody where they ask questions about those things. So a lot of the artists they talk to are Liminal 11 artists, but some are not. So I do commend them for that. I do commend them for talking to artists, not just in their own publishing house. So this is one where you don't have to read it from cover to cover. You can jump around. You can maybe just read the articles. If there's just a particular section that you're looking for, like maybe you're like, oh, well, I've already kind of designed my article. You want to just know about publishing, you can jump to that point. So I did read it from cover to cover just so I could give you a full review of this. My only criticism in this is, like I said, it could come across a little bit as pushing Lemon 11 just because, well, I mean, they are the ones that made this book, right? So I can't really fault them for that. But it is mostly talking to their artists and stuff. It can feel a bit magazine-y. And what I mean by that is just with the articles and stuff. The interviews, it can feel a little bit that way, which is not everybody's taste. But I think it gives you a good idea, because they do talk to a variety of different creators here, of people's different point of view and their different processes and how they went through things. So I think instead of just giving you a step by step, it is helpful to have people's point of view and what they went through. So I think it is a very handy book if you are thinking about creating a tarot or an oracle deck. It is very beautiful, even if you just want a beautiful tarot type coffee table book. Not all the artwork is my style, definitely, but it doesn't have to be. It was pretty informative. I think it's a really lovely book. If you're not someone that's interested in making a tarot, like a tarot or an oracle deck, I don't know how useful this would be to you other than pretty pictures. But if you are someone that's interested in it, seriously, I think it gives you a good jumping off point. It gives you some things to think about. It gives you a way to, a starting point so you can start to do some research and think about things. The only other criticism I would say with book, and this is just because of the nature of this book, it's not this particular book, but anything like a how-to manual is going to get dated with time, because who knows what the market's going to look like 10, 20 years from now. So right now it's really relevant, but I don't know how relevant this is going to be 10 or 20 years from now. Just like, who knows what's going to happen, right? But that's not the book's fault. You can't magically jump through time, right, and into the future. So I think for now, and for what the publishing industry looks like now, I think that this is a really good book. So that is, I would give this like 4.5 stars out of 5. For what it is in particular, it is I think it is somewhat niche in that I think this is most useful for people who are actually looking at creating a deck of some kind. The second book that I read is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This is a self-help classic. Atomic Habits came out, I think it was like 2017 or 2018. I'm just going to look at the publishing date here. 2018. So it's a few years old now. I ordered this and was expecting the softcover, and I got a hardcover copy, which I'm not mad about. This is an excellent book if you're looking at things like developing good habits. Now, this is not a book that tells you what kind of habits you should have or what kind of habits you should break. What this is about is how to make good habits easy to continue, and how to make it harder for yourself to continue in a bad habit. So it's about breaking the cycle of bad habits and making good habits easier. So it's a lot about the psychology of habits and developing habits. It's easy to read. I read it like in a weekend. It is, 250 pages or so, 260 pages, and it was definitely not a difficult read. It's well laid out, step by step. It talks about, like I said, the psychology of habits, how to make it easier for yourself to do them. And it also really emphasizes the power of small little changes, how they add up over time. A lot of us think we have to make these giant sweeping changes. We got to do everything all at once. We got to make things different right away. And this really talks about how the power of doing small things adds up over time. And also how when we have a bad habit, that also accumulates over time. So it's sort of how things grow exponentially, and how we often give up or good habits too early because we're not seeing the results we want right away, not realizing that it accumulates. And there's a point where we kind of reach a tipping point where things cross over and we start to see the results of them. So it sort of encourages you to keep going with the good habits. So if you're someone that's looking at developing better habits in your life, I would strongly encourage reading this book. I found it to be an easy read. It doesn't dumb things down, but it's not like super intellectual or super hard to read. They have, it's not, like the prettiest book in that there's not a lot of graphics in here. There's some little diagrams and things, but it's you've got these little graphs and stuff. But it's not like the most the most prettiest book, but it's definitely very informative. He divides things into like four different kind of stages. What are the four stages here? I'm just looking them up. So first of all, with habits, you got to make it obvious. You got to make it like, it's like if you want to practice guitar, put the guitar, in your living room in front of your face, so you're looking at it. Make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And then there's the opposite with bad habits. So, make it like hide the things. Like if you have a habit of, maybe you're trying to break a habit of like eating chocolate every night or something. I'm just throwing that out as an idea, maybe. I don't have anything against eating chocolate every night. But if, let's say that's what you were, well, don't bring chocolate into your house. Like out of sight, keep it out of sight. Make it unattractive, make it hard, make it difficult, make it like you have to it's an effort to do it, and make it non-satisfying. So he kind of does a bit of both, and he gives you some concrete examples of like how to do those things, but it gets you to think for yourself about like, okay, what are the habits that I have that I want to continue, and what do I want to break, and how do I do that? So he gives you some really practical tools for that. So I do recommend this book. I would give this book as well. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It was easy to read. It was informative. It did what it said on the package. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. So some pretty good books that I read this month. I'm not sure what I'm going to read next month. I'm trying not to buy books. So I'm looking around my house at stuff I haven't read yet. So not all the books I'm going to be talking about are going to be brand new, that's for sure. But let me know what you think of these books. If you have them, what your thoughts are on them. I would love to hear. And as always, peace and love and running.